and subscribers, welcome to another episode of In a Week. I'm your host Suhaim. In this episode, I'm going to take you guys on a bicycle ride, and it's going to be in Bay Ridge. We're going to start our trip from American Veterans Memorial Pier. We're going to go all the way to Verrazzano Bridge and then back to American Veterans Memorial Pier. And then I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the bike path, which is inside Owl's Head Park in Bay Ridge. So let's get into it. For the convenience of the viewers, I have put the green dots on the map to identify the route for today's trip. So I also thought that it would be a nice idea if I give you guys a little commentary along this video, because it is going to be a long video of over 20 minutes. So it is best that I keep you guys entertained by at least putting some music and the commentary in this video. As I said earlier, we're going to start our trip at American Veterans Memorial Pier. It's a very nice and sunny day. It's very good for biking, and I started to enjoy biking a lot in New York City. I recently got my bike and I regret not buying it earlier, because now when I am riding into New York City, it's like I am beginning to look at the city from a very different eyes. I feel different. I feel more relaxed as opposed to when I was just walking everywhere. But to tell the viewers exactly my feelings is that I'm actually very liberated when I'm biking, and I choose this bike path because it is segregated completely from the traffic. So there's no tension that there's going to be cars all around, that you have to be extra careful. There is a very minimal pedestrian foot traffic. Sometimes people do go onto this bike path, which they're not supposed to, but it's not as bad as it is in the other areas in the city where the bike lanes are next to the sidewalks, and within the city neighborhoods, people casually just walk on bike lanes. So this is not the case with the Shore Road area. It is pretty nice. This bike path is absolutely segregated, and most importantly, on this bike path you can go all the way from Bay Ridge to Coney Island. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to keep it short in terms of just going from American Veterans Memorial Pier all the way to Verrazzano Bridge. And as I said earlier, we're going to head back then from Verrazzano Bridge all the way back to American Veterans Memorial Pier. And I also want to show you guys a little bit for the bike path that we have in Owl's Head Park. It's not a very long strip for the bike path, but it is indeed one of the most relaxed and very nice and scenic. So I think I should include it all as well in this video, and it's not actually far, so it's good to actually keep it inside this video so that you can also view that as well. Full disclosure, I'm not actually an experienced biker, so bicycling is fairly recent to me, and I have learned a lot by just trial and error. And I also wanted to share this with my viewers who may not have biked in New York City before, or maybe if they have never biked in their own towns wherever they are living. Biking is actually one of the most liberating activities, but at the same time it also comes with risk. And I think the best thing to do is to first basically educate yourself about any topic, just like you would do it about biking as well. So for me, I think the first thing was to figure out exactly what I needed in the bike. So when I was purchasing the bike, the shopkeeper was very nice enough to identify everything, with the local rules and regulations that will apply on the bikers, that what kind of equipment that they need to have in their bike in order for that bike to be within the rules and regulations of the city. And at the same time, I also read about the bike rules that we have to follow in New York City. So wherever you are, please be aware that just because you are not in a car, that doesn't mean that rules don't apply to you. Biking is also a very it's stressful because you have to, just like in a car, take care of the pedestrians, and you have to mind the traffic, and you have to protect yourself. So those of you, please, who are biking within the city, wear a helmet, make sure that you protect yourself, and also be vigilant when you are riding a bike, because I have noticed that even on the shore road area, when I'm biking, you can see that there is not a lot of foot traffic in this area, but it's still time to time, somebody just pops into the lane, or somebody might be in a wrong lane. They would be biking or maybe walking inside the lane we're not supposed to. So, but you have to be very well aware about all of this. So be on your guard, make sure that you look ahead, and do not be distracted while you are riding a bike. If there are windy conditions, the best thing to do is to actually make sure that you wear clothing which is not going to fly, and if that's the case, then there's going to be a lot more issue when it comes to moving forward, and you would need to apply a lot more force. So be more aerodynamic, make sure that you are able to maneuver through the windy conditions easily, and that has to do with your clothing. So don't wear baggy clothing when you're riding a bike. Make sure you wear the clothing that would fit on your skin perfectly. In the shore road area, I noticed, and so must have you by watching this video, that there are a lot of potholes inside the bike lane, and it's not really paved smoothly. So sometimes you see that there are potholes, sometimes you see that the road is kind of uneven, so you have to kind of dodge all these things. So one of the ways that I do it is by actually going for a bit into the other lane where it might be a little better paved area, and then cross it without having to go over the potholes or on uneven unpaved area in the bike lane. So, but when you're crossing the lanes, it's also important to be aware, because you have to know ahead if there is someone coming into their own lane which you are using to cross and bypass these potholes, that you don't crash into other people. So as I said before, be very mindful of your surrounding and make sure that you pay attention while you're riding your bike. Since I have been on this route almost every day, I have memorized and I am able to anticipate. When you're used to certain things, you can easily anticipate a lot in the, what would you expect. So there are bikers who are regular here. Just like if you would go on a train commute, you would see the similar familiar faces every day. On the bike commute at a certain hour, there are same people who are basically riding it at the same time as I am. So it's kind of when we pass each other, there's an acknowledgement that yes, I know that you bike at this time. Nobody says anything, but it's like a little nod from the head. So that happens as well, and you will see when you will become a regular at your route, you will notice that there are people who bike along the same area at the same time, and kind of you share that time, you share those moments every day. So I go Monday to Friday around noonish, and that is my time to ride a bike. And the reason why I have chosen this particular time and these particular days, it is because during the weekdays there is not a lot of foot traffic. Most people are working in their jobs around noon during the weekdays, so it is easy for me to take this time and these days during the week and ride without any foot traffic or any bike traffic indeed on this route. So, but if you notice on the weekends, and if you are a person who is working during the weekdays and weekend is the only time that you actually can ride a bike, then unfortunately you will see a lot of foot traffic because there's a lot of people who actually go and walk on this path, and there's going to be a lot of bikes on this path as well. So if you're riding a bike on the weekend, this is definitely going to be like the traffic is going to be an issue for you. There are days that I have ride my bike on this path, and it was so windy that it was impossible for me to kind of pedal. I had to dismount from my bike and wait a little bit and catch my breath and start pedaling again. And the reason is because since I'm not used to riding in extreme windy conditions, I am not able to also put a lot of force on my foot and use my legs to basically move forward during the windy conditions. But it's just a matter of getting used to it. I'm pretty sure that as I continue to bike 5 days a week and for an hour every day, it will help me in the future in maneuvering through the extreme wind conditions more smoothly. And I can tell you that every day that I go bike in this route, I cannot explain the feelings that I get, the satisfaction I get by being close to nature and exercise at the same time. So this indeed is one of the best routes. It's getting very hot in New York City, so it's also one of the ways that I actually get my tan. I go on my bike, and since I'm out in the sun for an hour, that's a very good way for me to get a tan. Now finally we have arrived at the Verrazzano Bridge, and now we're gonna take some rest, and after stretching a little bit, we're gonna head back to American Veterans Memorial Pier. I also wear sunglasses during the bike ride because what I have noticed is that when the wind blows, it blows so much dust in the eyes that it's not safe to ride a bike without any sort of goggles or sunglasses, because it has happened earlier that days that I did not take my sunglasses. I was feeling very bad because there was so much dust that was going into my eye, and I was afraid that I might crash the bike because of that reason. So the word of caution to people who are biking, please do wear some kind of a goggle or sunglasses during the windy conditions, because that's one of the other things that happens. It's a lot of dust over here in New York City, and it does get into the eye and it's very painful. So recently there has been a lot of pollen in the air, and during this trip I felt extremely uncomfortable because I was not wearing a face mask. I inhaled so much air, and in return I was just sneezing all the time while I was biking. So a word of advice for people who are biking during a high pollen season is to make sure that you guys put on a face mask to avoid inhaling a lot of pollen, because that will make your biking for you extremely uncomfortable. I didn't do that, unfortunately, so during this trip it was extremely uncomfortable for me. For the second half of this video, I'm going to let the music take over and let you guys enjoy the views. If you like the content, please subscribe, like the video, and comment below. Help the channel grow. Thank you for watching in a week.